Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of A Chapter a Day Keeps the Doctor Away. My name is Alan, otherwise known as Hisui, and I'm from ReverseThieves.com as well as the Speakeasy Podcast. This time I'm looking at Hayate the Combat Butler, Chapter 443, Troublesome Relative. And Hayate and his brother have been formally reunited, but his brother wants nothing to do with him. And all the girls are here and making some observations, like the fact that Hayate's brother is very good looking and quite ripped, but also way too willing to cross-dress and kind of troublesome and dorky and maybe a little bit oblivious. So he's pretty much a hyper-powered Hayate. And they want to ask him if he has the jewel, but he seems kind of impoverished. So they're like, I'm not even sure he has a shirt, let alone a jewel. So after a little bit of comedic interaction, Nishizawa asks him, and he's like, well, the only thing that I have that's 10 years old is this little charm bag. And Hayate's like, that's the charm bag! And the minute he, goes to touch it, ba-choo! His brother punches him and he's like, this is from someone very important to me. And he's like, it's from me, your brother. And he's like, I vaguely remember having a brother. Not much about him, but he was a cute little 6-year-old boy. And he's like, it's been 10 years, I'm 16! And he's like, no, I must keep this so I can be reunited with my brother. He's like, I'm your brother, right here, reunited. Ah! And Maria's like, yep, this is kind of what we expected out of Hayate's relatives. And then, out of nowhere, comes Soya, who people with good memories might recognize as a classmate of Hayate and Nishizawa back in his old high school. And it seems weird that Soya would come out of nowhere on the beach, and because he hasn't been in the manga in a long time, other than Nishizawa mentioned that he's a really good swimmer a while back. But if you've ever read Heroes of the Sea Lifesavers, you realize that he was the main character of that, and he was in it with Hayate's brother. So it's kind of more a wink and a nod to people who have been with Hayate since the beginning, or at least with Kenjiro Hara from the beginning. And he suggests that, hey, if this guy really wants to get that, why don't you have a competition? And so everyone's like, no, don't do it. He's so much more powerful. And Hayate's like, no. I not only have to prove myself to my brother, but I have to win this. So yes, I will challenge him. And so they think it's going to be a battle of fisticuffs. But in fact, they decide to have a battle in which they fight not with their physical might, but in entrepreneurial power. And Hayate's brother's like, if you can revive this beachside restaurant that I used to work at, then I will give you the little bag. And if you lose, you have to take on all the debts of the restaurant. And everyone's like, no, don't do it, Hayate. And he's like, no, I must. And Nagi's like, I'll just pay for the whole damn thing. Just no. You and money don't work. And he's like, no, if there's one thing I'm good at, it's serving food in restaurants. And so he signs it, and he's literally trembling, and Nagi's like, why did you do that? You're trembling with fear. And he's like, no, trembling with excitement. So, the next phase of the manga is obviously him trying to revitalize this restaurant, which obviously is not going to go well. But I'm thinking with all the cute girls they have here and Hayate's ability to cook really well, after a definitely rocky start, they'll probably build up some steam. But I think the real, you know, competition is going to come from the other restaurants on the beach, which are probably going to have some nasty customers, as well as I'm sure some other old cast members are going to show up and cause some problems. But it should be funny to see how Hayate's bad luck, plays a part here. Oh, one little cultural note. The Japanese guy, when Nishizawa offers to play, peacemaker and matchmaker with his brother, that Japanese guy that she mentions, apparently he was a really big variety show host who was on a whole bunch of different shows. And I couldn't find what exactly show she was talking about. Apparently he was on up to like 50 hours a week at his prime, being on various different shows. But apparently was a bit of a jerk. He basically had to pay a huge settlement after he slapped up one of his female co-workers, and apparently he had to resign because he had major Yakuza ties. And after a falling out with one of the big Yakuza bosses, after the guy disrespected him, the Yakuza boss basically leaked to the media their connections, and he had to resign. So kind of a scandalous figure, but I'm guessing he was on some kind of like, we reunite you with people you have not seen in a while. That seems a Japanese variety show type of concept. Or maybe it was in a movie with that kind of thing. But yeah, he is obviously a disgraced figure at this point. But I'll put a little thing in the in the little notes at the bottom about that. But just so you know, bing, 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 bing. If anybody does know what show she was kind of making reference to, I'd be interested to know. But he was like insanely popular before his big fall, so he was on just a ton of different shows, and he isn't that well known in the U.S. except for, once again, his two big scandals. So it should be a interesting next chapter. It's obviously going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So it'll be interesting to see how that is. Alright, see you guys next time.